Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Polani. Hope you had a great weekend. What can I say? Okay, I don't know where you are watching from, but in Lagos, southwest of the country, it's been raining, and that will bring, its usual hassles, but we're here, thank God, and on time too. Well, our guest this morning is Dr. Niyi Akinsiju. He's Chairman, Independent Media and Policy Initiative. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Good morning, Dr. Akinsiju.
Very good morning, sir.
Great to have you on, as always. Really appreciate you.
It's a pleasure.
Making the time for us.
My pleasure, sir.
Okay, let's look at
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. Nigeria's political landscape ahead of the 2027 elections. They say it's a week, if not a day, in politics is a very long time. But we're looking at the 2027 elections. And, of course, the country has been in a tizzy. You would think, if you didn't know what our political calendar is like, you would think that the election was imminent, such has been the flurry of activity. And maybe, first of all, let me just start from there. Are you surprised at the intensity of the, let me just call it dynamism, the activity that is going on for an election that is still roughly 2 years off? We're carrying on as if it's in 2 weeks' time. Does that aspect of it, does it surprise you, or is there a sense in which you expected it?
I'm not surprised. It's part of the value and, of course, the characterization of democracy, principally to have a group of people who are interested in contest of power to, as early as possible, start announcing themselves, especially when there is a contest against an incumbent. So the rambunctiousness in the environment is expected. It shows how robust and, of course, how substantial democratic character has become. So I am even impressed across the world, even in the very whole democracy. This is the kind of impression you get. 20 months, 24 months to an election. There's a lot of activities, a lot of announcements, pronunciations, engagements, and deliberate distraction, for the incumbent, so that the argument is won. Democracy is about argument.
Okay.
So everybody comes into the public space and try as much as possible to commence that argument with intention, of winning the argument at the end of the day.
Okay. And, a lot of people, of course, depends on where you want to throw your support. Talking about ordinary Nigerians now, every Nigerian who is going to be a voter. It depends on where their own support is going to be. But many have said that, I'm not too troubled with the ADC, this coalition that has been put together. But there are others who are saying they play, they look us, they play. So everybody, that's in the nature of politics, I would imagine. But I wonder what your thoughts are as to the potency or otherwise of ADC. A lot of people have said, don't worry yourself too much about it. But I imagine that knowledgeable politicians, especially in the ruling party, are not going to leave anything to chance. But how would you assess the potential effectiveness of the ADC against an incumbent? And arguably, let me just put the word arguably in there, a performing incumbent who is doing a heck of a good job according to supporters from his side. How would you sort of, evaluate the situation we have on our hands here? Is it a serious threat? Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Well, I think we'll first track back to the first question you asked about if I was concerned, with the so much, how do I call it, the momentum, in the public space as we look on to 2027. Then link it up to, of course, the prospects of the so many political parties, in the Nigerian public space. Yes, we have the African Democratic Congress, and perhaps that's the most recent entity in the public space, and we are following them. The truth of the matter is, for me, no political entity, no political force can be ignored. No political force can be belittled. There should be enough attention, given to any expression of the context of power. So, to that extent, I believe that the ruling party would give respect to the elements in the party, as it were, in the ADC, in the ADC, as it were. But my concern in tracking back to what exactly is even the direction of the momentum. We have seen more of noise. It's as if the whole idea is to create a storm of noise without substance. So the concern of people like us over time in any political engagement had always been, where does each political group stand in terms of messaging? And that messaging has an underlining of idea. And of course, you can grow that into ideology. So what does APC stands for instance? What does ADC stands for? We know what PDP stands for over time. It has even created a confusion effect, on its perception and its brand, and you have some other marginal and peripheral political groups too. So my concern is, rather than look at the ADC, the way they engage the APC, the ruling party, by picking on each policy announcement that is recently made, by the government, as like a query position, without providing an alternative position, without providing an alternative ideological, dimension to whatever may be their own understanding of what they are querying. That has been my border, because for the Nigerian people, what we are having is more of confusion. You have a policy position by the federal government, for instance, and for instance, the recent announcement by the federal government of the rebuilding of the Muritala International Airport. And that excites some of us. Then, of course, I think yesterday, the spokesperson of ADC announced that it was a waste of resources. And I wonder, okay, so if it's a waste of resources, what are the options? Or what better way do you want to employ or deploy the resources that you have? So those are some of my concerns. There should be, a positive, practical, pragmatic engagement in the space, so that the Nigerian people are availed options, and of course, practical options that are workable too. It's not just about talking and getting ventilated in the media space.
I hear you there. Indeed. This is, thank you very much for bringing that point up, because I was going to bring it up. So thank you for putting it out there. This has been noticed that the ADC doesn't seem to have, at least maybe it's a failing on my own part, I don't really see what their ideological stance is. Apart from picking on individuals and, dealing with them on an individual level, this one is not doing this, is not doing that. But as you said, starkly lacking is an idea of, this is what we would do if we were to come into power. I just don't know how many they can get to follow them as a result of that course of action. But even if we go apart from that, when you look at it, I'm just wondering, is all well within the ruling APC itself? Because you look at news reports, you scan them, because the subject matter that we're talking about today, Nigeria's political landscape ahead of the 2027 elections, sort of tried to take an overview of it. And I said, look, let's touch base with the ruling party itself. one hears that there are apparently issues in some states, you know, of the ruling party itself. Again, is this to be expected? Is this to be expected that you won't usually have a streamlined alignment of purpose? Apparently, there are people who, you know, see things differently. Maybe they just want the way things are going now. It might not favor whatever the political aspirations that they had was. For instance, the situation with Governor Adeleke, you know, not coming anymore. I don't even know if that is the case. He was supposed to be coming to the APC. Then we hear that he's not coming anymore. So are those kind of situations crisscrossing across the country? Are there an issue that bears attention on the part of the ruling party?
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is, contextually speaking now, democracy is not a military cantonment kind of, it does not, you know, operate in the context of a military cantonment culture, you know. The contest for power starts at the very lowest rung, you know, of the power ladder, starting from even the ward. So even in the same party, you are likely to have different point of view, and of course different aspirations, and these aspirations are contending. So the fact of contention means that there will be a kind of engagement, you know, within and amongst the people of different interests and aspirations. So to that extent, you may see on the surface some kind of rumbling. Mm-hmm. But the truth of the matter is that that again is the essential of democracy. When you don't have that kind of rumbling, you know, obvious, it's also to question the nature of the democracy in that dispensation or in that environment, as it were. So you could have all this differentiation, as it were. But what is important is that there is an objective that all parties, you know, within that context or within that jurisdiction, desire to accomplish in the most peaceful and harmonious ways. You know, so for me, that is what we have in the APC now is to a large extent different aspiration trying to accomplish their respective objectives, which is legal, which is expected, you know. But the other significant thing is that there's a hierarchy, there's a respect for hierarchy, you know, in the APC, in the ruling party, as it were. You have a national leader who in the presidency, that's His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You have the structures of the party being controlled. I mean, the structures of the government at the legislative level. You also have the party itself, you know, playing so much impactful, what I call intervening role, because at any point in time when there's an obvious disagreement that may not be manageable, you see the national party, you know, intervening, which is very, very effective. And we have also seen a party that had become, you know, that has enlarged, that have grown since its creation in 2013, 2014, to accommodate more people crossing over from other parties. Now, if you don't have that kind of situation, you know, it should concern us, you know, those of us that are observing the environment, because what it means is that the ruling party has become a major alternative for people or for politicians in other parties and other platforms. So there's an attraction. When there's an attraction, it does translate to the fact that the ruling party has been able to espouse certain ideological orientation. One, the ruling party has been able to implement certain policies. Two, the ruling party has a number of infrastructural references that it had undertaken. So there are good reasons for people outside, you know, the party to join. And then fourth, it is also providing alternative opportunities for politicians in other platforms to come in and, of course, also pick tickets to run and fulfill their own aspirations. So the ruling party generally is performing in the manner in which a ruling party is supposed to perform, especially in a developing politics like democracy like ours, where we are still growing. The political imagery, of the country is still growing. So people are still developing perceptions and perspectives about their political leanings. So to that extent, you will see a number of converts, from other party into the ruling party. Now, you can also contrast this to what happened between 2013 and 2015, when the ruling party at that time actually became a platform of confusion, was in disarray. You saw a number, up to 5 governors, sitting governors at that time, moving on to into the merger of what eventually became the APC. So talking about Adeleke, I think it is also part of the process of engagement. We cannot be definite about what will be the fate of Governor Adeleke either in the PDP or in the APC, until the final day of election campaigns, as it were, because it's a process. There will be dialogues, there will be engagement, there will be disagreements, there will be agreements, and then eventually there will be the fact that it had even been a major rumor, in the public space, that is likely the governor of Osun State switch over to APC, is an indication of how attractive the APC had become.
Indeed. And, well, I don't want to make this program about that, because I would have loved, a long throat is doing me, as they say. Don't forget that, the pictures were so tempting of people believing what they believed. You saw the governor, you saw some members of his family, him, his elder brother, his son. They went there and were seen with the president. And so people were looking at it as, this one, it's a straightforward, done deal. All sorts of commentary was running along in that direction. But I guess the lesson we all learned is that you don't count your chickens before your eggs are hatched, apparently. Although we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know, because in politics anything can happen. But apparently there's a calm there. But I wanted to ask you about the AMPPA and the CPC intrigues, alleged intrigues going on in there. As you know, the late President Buhari, his bloc within the party, within his former political organization, are there restive members in there, which would be surprising because it's supposed to be all one family now. President Muhammadu Buhari and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even as he wasn't president then, they seem to have a good relationship going. So it's a bit surprising to hear that there are also members from his former political groupings that are now not sort of falling into the the current situation that we have, not falling along with APC and the president, but are also considering that there might be options. As I'm just speaking, I've just been told that a caller has come on. So let me bring that caller on, Dr. Akinsiju, and then you come back and address the question afterwards, please. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you very much for calling in. Mr. George, good morning to you, sir. Well, I hope you can hear me. George? Is it? Are you the... Okay, I can see that there's a sort of a... There's the sort of a... Mr. George, can you hear me? Oh, no, I don't think so. Well, you...
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. I can hear you. Yes. Go ahead, George. We can hear you.
Okay. It's very faint here, but I'm happy you can hear me. Good morning to you, Uncle Yori, and good morning to Dr. Akinsiju. Is it clear?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Uncle Yori?
Yes.
I am an ardent follower and supporter of President Tinubu. His mission and goal for Nigeria, I identify with it, and I owe nobody any apology for it. What is happening is akin to what we see in every institution. When somebody who wants to bring changes for the better comes into any institution as the head, those who want business as usual to continue will insist that he must not have his way. That is why you see people aligning from one corner to the other in 2 years to an election. That is what they are doing. And they don't have any other reason than to just prevent him from carrying out his mission. You can see that they don't even have a program. They don't have an objective. The only objective they have is to just make sure he does not succeed in doing what he has come to do for Nigeria.
Yeah.
And for such it will always end in failure. I'm saying it for the third time on this station. And at the end of the day, you will see what will happen. What I would recommend, Uncle Yori, is what I'm seeing on your other, the terrestrial station. As we speak now, Wike, the Minister of FCT, is briefing the press. He does it on a monthly basis, telling them what he's doing, what he wants to do next, and they will question me for clarifications here and there. That is what I expect every minister to be doing. If they cannot do it on a monthly basis, they can at least do it on a quarterly basis. Not the one that the Minister of Information will group them up on NTA station and then, no. Every minister, we are not complaining that they are using our money to tell us what they are doing. The Minister of FCT is a minister. Other ministers also have budgets. Let them use part of the money to tell the people what they are doing. Many people don't know a lot that these ministers are doing. And they need to let us know. Let them emulate Wike. That way, what they want to do, what these adversaries want to do is to dwarf the performance of the president with noise, so that people will get confused and they will win a narrative that is false. The government should not allow it, and the only way to do it is public enlightenment. As they are talking, one minister is speaking today, tomorrow another minister is speaking, then tomorrow another minister. They will not be able to carry out that narrative. That's just my recommendation. I am not worried. You wait till 2027. If both of us are alive, we'll come here again and discuss this matter. And I will remind you what I said.
Okay.
Good morning.
Then. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you very much. Dr. Akinsiju, you probably can recognize that that voice is a constant on the program. There are quite a number of them like that, you know. But your comments, if any.
Yeah, I agree with him. Politics is about when you light your candle, you do not put it under the bed. You put it on the table. It's important, that whatever the government is doing, the people should know, because people are stakeholders in governance. So to a large extent, the people want to follow up on what the ministries, the departments and agencies are doing. So I think nothing stops the MDs, the ministers, DGs and MDs and others of departments and agencies from periodically engaging the public space, even sometimes before a project is commenced, so that you also have stakeholders, opportunities for stakeholders' contribution to what prospects, the project was going to fulfill. and that also allow a buy-in, you know, of the public in what government is doing. That allows for a more robust governance template. So I think it's important that those who are employed, you know, by the president and positioned in ministries, department, and agency, also see themselves as part of the governance ecosystem. And to be part of the governance ecosystem, it is important that they carry the people along wherever they may be, you know, and in such a way that people also contribute to the conceptualization, you know, and implementation of ideas and policies.
So we've sort of established, in the sense that I agree with you, it's vibrant out there, politically speaking, but there are a number of issues. You've spoken about that. And also the last caller, George, he felt that we could do more, that is to say the government could do more with communicating with the electorate. You know, the president has always said this. I don't know what the, first of all, I don't know if there is a lethargy, because I have seen in recent times the Minister of Health, for instance, has been, you know, putting out some strategic information, and there are some like that. But this whole question of telling the people what is going on, and as you said, even sometimes before a policy is about to take off, can you fathom why the president has to be almost insistent, say, let them know? Shouldn't this be, you know, what they should be doing for their party? Because the ADC, as you know, as that man said, as that viewer said, that if everywhere is full of the plethora of achievements that this, you know, administration is dealing with at the moment, then they would know that you can't come in just anyhow and just say anything for the sake of saying it. Is there a sense in which our people, our politicians, need to get to be a bit more like the Wikis of this world? You give them half a chance, they're rushing off to the market space to let the whole market know, look at what we have now. Do you feel that there's a shortage of information?
I think the understanding of political engagement by some political office holders may be limited, sincerely.
Okay.
There are some ministers, you know, that are doing very well. They are in terms of policy conceptualization, deployments, and implementation. But they don't have a natural inclination, you know, they don't have a natural proclivity, you know, to announce what they are doing. So it could also be a person-to-person thing. But I think there is a need for continuous orientation, you know. Yes, the Minister of Information has a role to play, but there's no way he can understand whatever is happening in other ministries. He can only provide the public with a summary, a summation of what that ministry or department or agency had done over time. As they say, let us hear from the horse's mouth. It is from the horse's mouth that you are able to have an in-depth understanding, you know, because of the deluge of details that horse, you know, has to provide to the public. So when there is a direct engagement, it is more robust, and it should not be a one-off thing. It's supposed to be a continuous engagement. Periodical as it may, it could be once in a month, it could be once in a quarter and all that, and people can actually start scheduling when this minister will be on air, when that other department DG will be on air and all that. So it provides a more engaging environment for both leaders and the followers. And again, with this kind of engagement, you are sure that one, the trust deficit that also, you know, that impacted perception and perspective between leaders and their followers, you know, will start healing, you know, because it is out of dialogue, constant, sincere dialogue, you know, that we have trust, you know, mutual trust, as it were. And I think a very important entity in this regard is also the party. So in the case of the ruling party, I think the MDA should also try, aside just coming straight, to the public space. There are thousands of followers, of the party, thousands of millions of members of the party that are also willing to carry the message, if they are properly informed, to take it, to the public space at their own level. The people in Abuja, for instance, may find it difficult to get to my village in Idori. But, of course, members who are senior members of the party who will have the opportunity to have this kind of information are likely to go and relate them to other members or even to their people at the ward level, the grassroots level. And that is where information should permeate in the first instance.
Now, at this stage, I'd like to get your thoughts on the chance of the PDP as an opposition party. As you know, a lot has happened within the PDP. It's probably still happening. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has exited the party. He's now properly in the ADC. We need to see how all of that is going to work, because there are those who are saying that, His Excellency, the former Vice President, needs to consider not running, but I don't think he's going to have any of that. What will the people in ADC think? Or do you think they're going to come along with his presidential ambitions? I don't know. And how important do you think this is? Because I've heard a commentator say that ADC is just full of people who want to be president. In other words, it's not just one person. A lot of people who have come into that place, they have this intention of becoming the president. So do you see that this is going to be another troubled junction when the time comes? Say, look, I have every much of a right as you have. Let's put it to an election, that kind of a thing. What do you think about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, wanting to be president still?
Seriously, ADC is a typical case of or example, or perhaps let's put it, model of how not to establish a political party. You do not establish a political party for the purpose of running just only for one political office, especially when it is seen to have been franchised to an individual. Then, of course, when you have that, the perception in the public space is that, okay, this ADC is for this particular person. And then you now have other centrifugal forces that also nurse the same ambition, but could also say that could also allow themselves to be persuaded to take some other offices. But the truth of the matter is, you have already about 3 or 5 candidates, former candidates of political parties in the ADC, presidential candidates. And I do not see how those ones are ready to subsume their intentions or their ambition, to Alhaji Atiku's intention. What is obvious is that Alhaji Atiku championed, the coming together of the coalition, and championed the direction into channeling this coalition into the ADC. And that in the ADC, you have people like the former Minister of Transportation, Mr. Rotimi Amici.
Yes.
You have some other ones, that I don't want to mention them, in that same group, that had also continuously, ventilate the fact that they are going to run come 2027. And unfortunately, the structure of the party itself is still under query. The latest information I got from INEC, and it's in the public space, is when they highlighted the executive officers, the National Working Committee members of the ADC, and none of the newly inaugurated members of ADC were amongst those listed, which means there is still a question on the relationship between the old or the new ADC with the INEC, which is important. And I think that's why I said it is a wrong model on how to establish a political party. You do not even start any form of political engagement until you are sure of the platform you are contending on. So and it's important we put this in the public space so that it does. At the end of it, it's not as if there is this creation of mistrust, and how do I call it, negative engagement with the INEC, because the INEC had come out to say that apparently what the ADC had done by changing membership of the NWC had not been properly or officially acknowledged. Can they first even go and settle that before we know that we actually have a true political party? And me personally, I yearn for political parties. I yearn for opposition. That is the essence of democracy. The more we have political parties that are robust, that are intellectually driven, that are ideologically driven, the better for the good of the country. But if we are coming, for instance, from the days of the PDP, we realize that over a long time, it lost savvy, it lost substance, and it became principally an object of a vehicle, to a political vehicle to achieve political ambition, especially the presidential ambition of Turaki Atiku. And I think it is not proper, for the democracy that we are trying to nurture, that we are trying to grow. So going forward, I want to advise that the ADC should put their house in order. Let us even see some appearance of organization. Let us see some appearance of understanding and ideological leanings, so that when we are referring to the party, we can actually talk about the party in context, not as the fluid, situation that we have now. It's just as if we have one or two people talking there anytime there's a need for them to address the Nigerian people, and it's not enough.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And when you said, when I first of all said that it seems that most people, if not all of them in ADC, wants to become president anyhow, and so that might be an issue. I was just reflecting, and I thought maybe I should take El-Rufai out of that, because El-Rufai has said that he is not ambitious. He has no, in fact, he said very much the kind of things that you are saying, that is his real thrust. It's all about democracy. It's all about a viable opposition, a quality that me, myself, I'm not interested. And so, arguably, he's a high value, potential candidate himself. Is he being selfless? Is that the kind of, that, look, he also wants the organization that you are talking about, and that's why he's in this, not for his own personal interest?
Well, I think with the role he has been playing, if he really was intent on the organization, of the party, I think this should have been achieved, over the so many weeks we've been hearing about the ADC. But what I know about His Excellency, former governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, is the fact that if he's offered power, he will grab it with two hands. If he sees the opportunity, he would seize it. But again, he's also a very practical-minded politician. If the environment is not enabled enough, it will not even declare context. But if the environment is good, can be facilitated, it would grab it. So I am not going to discount his interest at this time. But of course, you also have other ones. You have Peter Obi. That one is also a context that we are even confused about. Say it relates to the Labour Party. Is still with ADC, and of late we hear that the ADC had given him a carte blanche kind of thing to operate from the two parties. And again, that is another confusion in a democracy where you belong. They have declared interest. You belong in two different entities, and you have one single ambition. And again, it's the messaging is wrong. You know, so the whole thing for me here is to tell Nigerians that, look, however it is, this whole thing is just about power grab. It's just about power grab, which is not proper.
And your comments remind me of the president saying recently that that party, as far as he can see personally, is a party of, you know, Confucianists, meaning that they are confused. Paraphrasing the president now. Yeah. It was the president who had seen it like that. And talking about, you know, the former governor of Kaduna, El Rufai, you saw the experience he had with the SDP that he, you know, said that was his, you know, choice, and they have reacted and said, look, we don't know anything about that. None of this is good from a PR point of view. And so much so that they've even decided that, you know what, for the next 30 years, you can't come into anywhere near our party. So I know that apart from the facts of the matter, what do you think that is saying? SDP, is this just politicking? Say we shall, you know, besmirch his whole agenda when we say this, because a person who is highly respected wouldn't get that kind of treatment from a party that he says he's identifying with. So that whole group of the opposition, it just shows that there's a lot more work that needs to be done for them to come to be effective at all.
Yeah, seriously. Well, again, is the approach. I think what the SDP is saying, especially the aborigines, as we call them, the SDP aborigines, what they are saying is that you do not come into our camp, yes, our entity, and you want to disrupt and grab power from us. And the fact that they sanctioned him and banned him from 20 years from associating with them talks of the fact that it's a person they don't even want to associate with in any way, and that they feel is an expression of unhappiness, you know, that this person took them for granted and wanted by whatever means, by whatever subterfuge, you know, to disrupt their own processes and, of course, grab power. I think it's the message in the SDP decision is clear, that any politician that wants to engage politically must engage process. And that is the problem with the Nigerian political space. Nigerian politicians want as much as possible, you know, how do I want to put it now, just to compromise process, to exploit whatever they have, you know, to compromise process. So the SDP process was compromised and was, of course, jettisoned, and that is why those people are fighting back. And I'm very sure it was as a result of this fight that the coalition, as it were, moved their camp from SDP to ADC. And in ADC now, we are also seeing politicians, the aborigines in the ADC, also now complaining, also protesting. I think a vice chairman in the north, in ADC, addressed a world press conference last week, you know, again, to disavow the fact that they have nothing to do with the coalition, those who just joined them. Yeah. So I think the whole thing is about process.
Mazi Okorafor is on the phone. Good morning to you, Mazi.
Good morning, Saturday. Good morning. Yes, Saturday. My own first, before I go to this issue, is that the Tigers that won the cup over the weekend. I think
Mazi, which one are you saying now?
Remember them.
Okay.
I remember the Super Falcons.
We contract. Okay.
That okay. The grief or the blessings fell on the Super Falcons, who also fall on the Tigers. Now, matters arising on what I said this morning.
Yes.
We have to look at Nigerian situation. But today in Nigeria, every day people talk about politics, politics. We neglect other aspects, which is not healthy. Now, for us to move forward.
You see now, you went and used your time for sports, Mazi. He used his time for sports, trying to get a word in for our girls, our ballers. Well, there you go. Mazi Okoroa for calling in from Arochukwu. I don't know. He just might get back in. So, well, as we were saying, it's early days yet because there's still just below 2 years left to the D-Day. But the way things are going, it looks like there's a lot more work that needs to be done all around for people to know who to really support and what to support them for. Now, the ruling party is lucky in that it is ruling, it is it is in power, and it is doing things that it can talk about. The other people are going to either criticize that or say what you would have done alternatively, which so far they haven't been able to do. But by and large, it does look as if both of them need work. They have work to do so that the rest of us can sort of be able to say, okay, we're going with ADC if that is what the intention is, or we're going with the ruling party. But for the moment, there seems to be, especially in the case of the opposition, the ADC, the house doesn't seem to be tidy at all. But then we can say they have the time to fix it. Would that also be your assessment, that they have the time to fix it if they have the wherewithal with which to fix it?
I really don't think they have the time. You know, by this time next year, primaries would preparation for primary election would have been in top gear. You know, so it's actually less than a year. You know, talking about the real activity. You know, commencing. So if a year to the primary election, you don't even have an organizational structure in place. It talks to the weakness, you know, of the entity. So there's a lot to do in that regard. And again, for me, it's not just about the ADC. It's also about the PDP and some other parties.
Maybe even Labour.
Are still on the fringes. Yes, Labour too. You know, so that Nigerians would have alternatives. You know, it is in alternatives that people in a democracy appreciate the ruling party. You know, so if the political parties are not substantially engaging in the public space, the ruling party itself cannot even be compelled to come to the space and powerfully push its own narrative or narration, as the case may be. So, as it were, yes, we may admonish the MDAs for not coming into the space powerfully enough to provide their own narratives, as it were, as what to the extent of what policies and programs they are implementing. But if we have had a stronger set of political parties that are engaging, factually driven by data and argument, strong rationale, the MDAs would, of course, be forced to also now come out in defense, you know, and sometimes to even proactively lead narration, as it were. But that's what we lack. We are lacking it. There's no voices directing or compelling engagement, you know, from the opposition party, and that is not too good for us, really.
Indeed. Well, I want to say, Dr. Akinsiju, we're going to have to leave it here for today's conversation. I know there are going to be many more conversations, you know, because the road ahead of us is actually a bit long. Even though you said that, well, it depends on what you're looking at. There's a sense in which you can say it's not all of that long, and I appreciate what you mean there. But I want to thank you very much, as always, for coming on, Dr. Akinsiju, to give us the benefit of your, you know, analysis.
Pleasure is mine. Thanks for having me.
All right, then. So thank you very much. So that's where we'll leave it today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.